Hey folks, today's show is brought to you by me and my basement because I'm off the clock. And apparently podcasting for work is what I do when I'm not working. Okay, let's do the show. Feg here, and just wanted to do my last podcast of the year to wish you all a happy break, happy holidays, happy not grading, happy not attending the weekly committee on official fonts meetings. Like I said, I'm off the clock, but I want to talk a little bit about what I've done working in the union this past 6 months and where I want to take us and some other thoughts. So let me say that today's show is brought to you by beer and Santa hats. Funny story about the Santa hat. Many, many years ago at the College of Science holiday party, we were all there just sort of standing around with cups like you do, and Ian Davison comes out, and he's wearing a Santa hat. And the juxtaposition of that was jarring, and I think our collective reaction was sort of like, ah! He's going to watch this and get all pissed off. You're not as funny as you think you are, Feg. True. All right, let's talk a little bit about FA stuff. Okay, so for the past 6 months, I've been focused on the internal aspects of the union, engaging members, meeting people, engaging the admin, starting on getting a bargaining team forming, and now I want to focus my efforts on the external world. Because it's time to tell our stories, and it's time to start demonstrating our function and our worth to the community outside of CMU, and especially to our students. So I've been thinking a lot about messaging, our messaging going into bargaining. So the thing is, this is how I see it, our biggest asset is also our biggest liability, and that is our habit of mind as researchers and teachers. Because when we're presented with misconceptions or knowledge gaps, we respond with long and nuanced and truthful arguments that are informed by evidence and by data. And those complex arguments just don't distill into catchphrases and sound bites. But when it comes to labor issues and showing our work and our worth to the world outside the university, our habits don't serve us as well as they usually do. Now, the admin is much better at this, and that is to say they're good at it and we don't do it. This is why they are consistently able to make themselves look like the sympathetic force for good and make us look like lazy slobs who just want to get big salaries and not work. We're really the only ones who understand that what we do isn't piecework. We don't say 3 articles for tenure is the right amount. We don't say that because we don't care about our reputations and our work. Okay? That's not what we do. But like it or not, our messaging has to be compact, portable, and catchy. And this is not a natural thing for us. Most of us can't do this, and we would struggle to learn how. Some of us, some of you, know how. You're experts in media communication, in science communication, in lived experiences of other, or maybe you're just completely sane. Okay? The other problem here is that we're scholars, and so we argue among ourselves. That's what we do. And that's how the scientific enterprise advances. But it doesn't work right in the area of public perception. And that's the way I see it, is where we've got to focus our efforts. Okay, because ever since the start of the Cold War, it's just been assumed by society that the academy is a good and a helpful thing. And I think this is particularly true about how science has been conceptualized ever since the end of World War II. But those days are over, and that worries me, and that worries us, and it keeps us up at night. We're terrified by it, and we hate this. But this is the system we have to work in, like it or not. Sorry for the mansplain. I know you know this, but I'm just sharing some thoughts here with you, because it's not enough just to be mad and rage against the corporatization of the university. We've got to put our own truths out there through effective messaging. It's like judo. We have got to turn the strengths of our opponents, the way they tell their stories, against them. The administration will portray us as lazy, greedy obstacles to student success. They'll say that this would be a great university if it weren't for the faculty, and that message will stick. Some of them believe that in their heart of hearts. Some of them believe that about some of us, but not others of us. And some of them know it's not true, but they're happy to go along with it because it advances their agenda. They have the institution's communications and messaging arm and its access to media to advance that agenda. They can put out short, compelling messages that tell lies about us. And we've got to be at least as good at this as them. Not good at lying, but good at messaging. So, what I need you to do is think about how to do this. Do you have these skills? Do you know somebody who does? Help out. Bargaining and fighting for our future is a big shit sandwich, and we're all going to have to take a bite. Getting a good contract is about our worth and how we advance the mission of the university and the truth about those things. But we need the messaging to go along with that. We need the goodwill of our constituencies, the students, and the community. We need to face down the political and social turn against organized labor and against education and against educated people, us. I want to start publicizing our stories. UCOM does this, but ultimately their product is about them and not about us and what we do. Are you out there helping people? Are you out there in the world with your research doing things that make a compelling story? Let us get your story out there. We have to build our relatability, our usefulness, and our impact. We cannot let the administration write our narrative for us. All right, enough of that. Time for part 2. People are, I think, really curious about what it's like to be the FA president. I mean, what's the time sink? What's the actual work like? How many meetings do you go to? Okay, the impact on me personally, how much time is it? It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of work. It is. You get a release time. You get a half-time release, which means you teach 3 classes a year instead of 6. And you definitely need that time. So another thing I did is I asked my friend David Jesuit, who has been the president, and his kid is about the same age as mine, said, how much time is this going to take away from my family? And I said, give me an honest answer. Don't blow sunshine up my ass. And he said, not that much. There's a couple of, once a month you have to go to an evening meeting, and but it wasn't that bad. And he was right. He was right. I wouldn't say that this has had an impact on my family where I felt like I've missed my kids because of the FA. That has not been the case. I'm eligible to go up for promotion to full in January, and I made the decision to not apply in January, and I thought that was the right thing to do. I can make a pretty good argument for having met my bylaws, but I want actually one more first authored publication before I go. And I personally felt like I couldn't do both, run the FA the way I thought I should do it, and crank out another first authored publication at the same time. Some people can do that. I made the decision not to try. But I tell you what, there's a lot that makes up for that. I have enjoyed this gig a lot, partly because it's really intellectually stimulating. I wake up and I log on and I go into the office and there's a whole new weird problem. And when I say problem, I mean like puzzle that has cropped up and I have to learn about. I had to learn about how insurance works. I sent you that massive FAQ about the MESA stuff, and that's because I don't know anything about insurance. Those were all my questions that I came up with and that I got answered. The questions I get, and I get all the questions because people, if they think they have a concern or they got a question about the contract or they've experienced something that they need help with, I'm the guy. And it goes through me, and it's just been so interesting to glimpse into all these other worlds on campus because there have been people that I would never have met and buildings that I have never gone into in 10 years, and I've learned about the work lives of all of these other people that I wouldn't normally ever cross paths with. In the past 6 months, I've experienced an awful lot of moments where I realized, shit, I helped somebody today. And I have a lot of days like that. And, you know, I'm not bragging, I've been humbled to do this. It's really been great. Another thing is I have experienced this sense of agency, you know, like I have a lot of things to do. I have a lot of responsibilities, but I have a lot more freedom to do things than you would ordinarily have in a regular department. You know, in a regular department, everything has to be total consensus, and one person can just derail something that was about to get done, and that has not been my experience in the FA. It's been terrific. I've really enjoyed that. But what people really want to know is how much work actually is this in terms of like day to day. Okay, so I posted this thing a few months ago on Facebook about how many emails I've gotten and received, and I'll share this with you because it's amusing. In the past 6 months, I have sent or received 2,289 FA-related emails, and that's from 3 accounts. But I tell you what's been crazy is in the increase in phone traffic. In a given semester, I will receive 1 or maybe 2 phone calls. This semester, I've received about 8. Okay, we're talking an 800% increase in phone traffic. All right, let's wrap this up. It's been a hell of a ride. 2018, 2019 is going to be pretty crazy. And I have to say, the members, you all have been great. It's just been so terrific getting to know you. And the more I drink, the better you get.